Imagine walking through the bustling streets of ancient Athens and spotting a strange figure. A man with a scruffy beard, barefoot, living inside what looked like a giant clay barrel. This was Diogenes of Sinope, the man who dared to call himself a dog among men. But don't mistake him for being crazy. He was one of the boldest philosophers of all time. The word cynic comes from the Greek kunikos, meaning dog-like. People gave this label to a group of philosophers who lived simply, freely, and often shamelessly, much like stray dogs. But instead of taking it as an insult, they wore it as a badge of honor. They saw themselves as watchdogs of truth, barking at society's illusions and hypocrisy. The first cynic was Antisthenes, a student of Socrates, but it was Diogenes who became the legend. He owned almost nothing. He ate, slept, and spoke in public without shame. And he constantly reminded people that happiness comes not from luxury, but from stripping away unnecessary wants. And then came the story that made him unforgettable. One day, the most powerful man in the world, Alexander the Great, came to see him. Picture it, Alexander in shining armor, surrounded by guards and servants, standing before a ragged old man resting in the sun. The conqueror of nations said, "I am Alexander. Is there anything I can do for you?" Most people would have begged for wealth, protection, or favor. But Diogenes didn't bow. He didn't flatter. He didn't even stand up. He simply looked at Alexander and replied, "Yes, step aside. You're blocking my sunlight." The crowd gasped. The silence was heavy. And Alexander, instead of being offended, admired him. He even said, "If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." That story captures the very spirit of cynicism, to stand free from illusions even in front of kings. The Cynics weren't against people. They were against the lies people lived by. They believed wealth doesn't equal happiness, status doesn't equal virtue, and social conventions often keep us imprisoned rather than free. Fast forward to now, doesn't that sound familiar? We chase promotions, gadgets, followers, and likes, all while feeling anxious, restless, and unfulfilled. Diogenes would laugh at us, the way he laughed at Alexander. He'd say, "You have everything, yet you're blocking your own sunlight." So how do we apply his wisdom today without moving into a barrel? Start by simplifying your needs. True freedom comes when you need less, not more. Ask yourself if your goals are really yours or just what society told you to want. Be shamelessly honest, not just with others, but with yourself. And above all, choose sunlight over shadows. In other words, choose authenticity over appearances. The word cynic today often means someone bitter or distrustful. But the original cynics weren't negative. They were radically free. They lived like dogs, not because they lacked dignity, but because they didn't care about false dignity. Diogenes once carried a lantern in daylight, claiming he was searching for an honest man. But maybe the real question for us is, how do we become that honest person in our own lives? How do we strip away what's fake and live with the kind of courage even kings would respect? At the heart of cynicism is a simple reminder. Authenticity may not make you popular, but it will make you free. And freedom, that was the sunlight Diogenes refused to give up. So as the world keeps spinning and society keeps demanding, remember, the choice to live authentically is always ours.